There's a special article within Article 2 on the quality of interpretation. So that is a key word in the directive, that the quality of the interpreting must be safeguarded, must be sufficient. Article 3 deals with the right to translation. All documents are essential. And it's interesting that if you look at that article, that these essential documents are explicitly enumerated. They are identified. Yeah? Any sort of decision depriving you of your liberty, yeah? An arrest, any charges against you, any decisions, any court decisions, those are documents which must be translated, yeah? Under the directive. Any other document which, for example, defense might consider essential. So if a defense counsel considers a witness report or an expert forensic report as essential, then it is up to the defense to convince the judge and to find and to make a claim for the translation of that document. European arrest warrant, once again, the quality of the translation must be sufficient. There's a special article, as if it's not clear enough, from Article 2 and Article 3. Article 5 repeats the issue of quality. Yeah? And the member states must take concrete measures. For example, the member states shall endeavor, they must try. If they don't try, they have to convince the Commission why there was no need to try, or why they didn't try. But they shall endeavor, they must try to establish a register of independent and qualified translators. I'm looking at the first row. You're the ones that need to be trained. This is, I think, that maybe the only strange thing in the directive, that it doesn't mention the training of the interpreters and the translators. The assumption being that somehow there's going to be a process of ascertaining, certifying the training of the interpreters and the translators. The training that is mentioned in the directive is the training of judges, prosecutors, and judicial staff. And we can come back to that in a second. Non-regression means that you can't do anything in the meantime that goes back, or that makes an earlier situation worse, that goes back on an earlier situation. Yeah. So while the period of implementation runs, in that period you cannot say, actually when I look at the directive, this is lower than what we have now, so let's use the situation to cut the budget or the measures, which is what they're trying to do in the UK right now. Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah? You can't regress on a better situation, yeah, than the directive actually sets out. And we have 1 year from now, roughly, October 2013, it has to be implemented. Okay, implementation. I'll be fairly brief again. This is a survey, and I apologize for the interpreters. I apologize to the interpreters, not for, but to the interpreters if I'm speaking a bit too fast. Blame it on Jesus. Implementation. This does not really concern most of the audience here, but maybe it's interesting to see, what kind of instruments there are. The first instrument that's around is a resolution. That's even lower than a recommendation. That is a kind of document which we think, this is interesting, but yeah, take it or leave it, really. And it's a resolution sort of, suggesting to the member states as to how they can implement the directive. And I'm taking a couple of suggestions from that resolution. I will not discuss them in detail, but they say, for example, well, there should be a professional body in any member state of accredited, and there we go, accredited, certified interpreters and translators. If you say certified, accredited, that means, suggestion 6, that you should have appropriate training. So they know, yeah, that you need specific training for interpreters, legal interpreters and translators. So there should be registration, yeah. There should be accreditation, that's repeated in 9, yeah, as if we hadn't got the point. In 10, again, there should be a system of registration, yeah. Again, accredited, certified, a code of conduct, etc. So these are suggestions to the member states. This is what you can do. Provide training. The training should lead to certification. That certification should be accredited. And those people should go on a register. And that's the register that the legal services should use. So it's a chain of quality, yeah, that they suggest. The second document to which Professor Bagori alluded is the reflection forum on multilingualism and interpreter training. And interpreter training really has to be understood as legal interpreter training. And it's a group of experts that came together and drafted a document for Commissioner Orban at the time that again sort of provided a blueprint for the member states. This is how you should go about it. Well, recognize the profile, provide training, certification, etc. The same things. Again, I'm not going into detail. The resolution, the reflection forum report, all the things I'm mentioning are available on the website and can be downloaded. Code of conduct, a register. An interesting issue at the bottom, the national registers should aim for EU consistency with European arrest warrants. I need to contact a colleague from Belgium to Greece. This is going to involve interpreting. How do I know that the interpreter in Greece, if he or she is on a register, is qualified to the extent that I would expect? We're going to have many more exchanges between countries, and certainly with the issue of video conferencing, we're going to have to appeal to interpreting abroad, which means that I need to be able to rely that these registers roughly operate in the same way. Now, the legal professionals can take an initiative themselves. For example, the Scottish criminal justice system, the procurators fiscal, as they're called in Scotland, and the judges, they have drafted a document together with the Law Society and the Legal Aid Body. The European Criminal Bar Association, which is European Association of Defense Lawyers, they have drafted a vademecum on how to work effectively with interpreters and translators. For example, the Young Defenders Association, the Young Defenders, young criminal lawyers, they have made a number of videos in which they explain to their equally young colleagues, how to work with these roadmap rights, including the one on interpreting and translation. EULITA, this organization of European legal interpreters and translators, this is the website, and if you browse the website, you will see EU materials, EU projects, etc., and everything that I say can be found on that website. This is an association that was founded in 2009, and it tries to provide information to both professional bodies of interpreters, translators, to individual legal interpreters and translators, and also to the judicial authorities in the member states on issues that concern us. The reason why it was founded was the European Commission has various consulting bodies within the justice field, but the one professional stakeholder that was never invited, that was always absent, therefore, were the legal interpreters and translators. And so in order to allow the Commission to invite the interpreters and translators, we needed a European association. You couldn't be there as AIC or FIT or the Belgian Chamber or whatever, that didn't work. That was not a representative body in the eyes of the European Commission. So that's why we needed this association. And as I said, if you look at the website, you will see a number of the things that you can find.